Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today we've got something seriously cool, and I mean that quite literally. If you're tired of your camera overheating during long shots, watch this video. We're diving into the ULANZI Cooling Camera Fan. So stick around, because in this video we're going to put it to the test and see just how this device can keep your camera running smoothly no matter the conditions. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on my latest gear reviews. Alright, cool! You've already seen the unboxing in the intro, and I must say this little fan here is quite sturdy. The cooler is primarily made of aluminium and comes quite with a bit of accessories. The 200 mAh battery can be quickly charged using the USB-C cable directly here on this USB-C port, or it can even be powered by a power bank while in operation, ensuring that even the longest recordings stay cool and your camera doesn't overheat. Assembly and handling are straightforward. Simply attach the smooth film to the back of the camera, as I show you here right now, under the flip out screen. Press it firmly and then gently attach the cooler to it using its suction cups here. Afterwards, just press it and hold the button until the LCD display appears. By default, the fan is turned off, positioned at 0. You can also see the current temperature of the camera through a built-in sensor, and when you press the button again, the fan will start running at level 1. Level 2 though is stronger and you can hear it, but the volume is barely noticeable. Let's conduct a quick test in a quiet environment with my Sony ECM-B10 microphone, and you can tell me if it's audible in the background at all. Alright, the camera cooler is now attached to the camera. I've also mounted my Sony ECM-B10 microphone on the camera, set to omnidirectional mode so that it captures all the surrounding sounds. This means it should pick up the fan noise in the room. Alright, the camera cooler is now attached to the camera. I've also mounted my Sony ECM-B10 microphone on the camera, set to omnidirectional mode so that it captures all the surrounding sound. This means it should pick up the fan noise as well. Let's activate level 1. Can you hear anything yet? Level 1 is activated and the fan is running. If you do so, please let me know in the comments below. Now let's move on to level 2. Level 2 is activated. The fan noise is more pronounced at this setting. Can you hear it in the recording as well? Well, I believe the test was successful. At my usual volume I couldn't hear anything. Only when you turn up the speakers you hear a slight background noise, but at that point my voice is also too loud. So I would say the fan is practical for real world use. Okay, let's get back to the specifications. It weighs only 58 grams and I got mine for around $30 including shipping during the pre-sale. According to the ULANZI website, it now retails for a standard price of around $40 plus shipping costs. I will post the link directly to the ULANZI shop in the description down below. No affiliate link though. And a quick disclaimer, as I mentioned earlier, I purchased the camera cooler during the pre-sale myself, and this video is not sponsored. You're hearing my experience and my honest opinion about the cooler. And speaking about honesty, as many of you may know, I own a Sony a7 IV camera I'm currently recording on, and this camera records in 4K, downsampled from 7K, and comes with a high quality 33 megapixel sensor. This means the camera must process a tremendous amount of information in a very short time, which naturally generates heat. If the camera gets too hot, it could potentially suffer damage. That's why there is a setting in the Sony a7 IV and in other Sony cameras as well that automatically shuts it down before it overheats, with a warning of course. By default, this protection feature is set to active and it triggers relatively quickly. In the camera I think it's called standard. If you choose to disable it, and please do so at your own risk, the camera will continue to heat up, eventually triggering an overheating warning by shutting down immediately. Then it takes some time to cool down before you can use it again. This scenario can be incredibly frustrating, especially during events like weddings, particularly if you don't have a backup camera. It's even worse if you're recording at a higher data rate per second, such as shooting in 60 or here in Europe 50 frames per second, as overheating occurs even faster. This is exactly the reason why ULANZI released this cooler. Personally, I've never encountered this issue with my Sony a7 IV, and I primarily record short clips, typically lasting no more than 10 to 20 seconds. In some cases I might shoot longer 10 to 15 minutes talking head segments in my studio like this one, where the temperature is maintained at around 23 to 24 degrees Celsius. For instance, even during our time in Japan, where the temperatures reached 38 degrees Celsius, I never experienced any overheating problems. Additionally, I rarely shoot in 60 frames per second. It comes with an APS-C crop as well on the Sony a7 IV for slow motion scenes or a specific documentary look, I would say. Not my style, by the way. However, with cameras like the Sony CVE-1, which is based on the Sony a7S III but comes in a smaller body, overheating can be a more serious problem. This is especially true when you're shooting in 120 frames per second with almost no cropping of its 12 megapixel sensor. Additionally, whether the display is fully folded out or not makes a difference. Now you're probably wondering why I'm talking about the ULANZI Cooling Camera Fan, even though I'm not affected, right? The answer is simple. I thought it couldn't hurt to have one at home in case I film another wedding with longer sequences, and before the overheating issue happens to me, I will take care of it beforehand. I would say let's put it to the test and see if I can push my camera to its limits and make it overheat for the first time though. Well, I have to say I'm surprised. First, let me provide the test conditions. The room temperature was around 27-28 degrees Celsius. With no direct sunlight. The Sony a7 IV had the 24 to 105 mm Sony lens set to approximately 70 mm, manual focus on infinity. I had an ND filter attached to avoid fluctuations. In the first test run, I set the temperature control on my camera to high and the camera ran at a 1/100 shutter speed, aperture f4.0, 50 frames per second, 8-bit, until the battery ran out. As you can see here, it took a total of over 1 hour and 30 minutes until the memory card was full. This means I didn't even need a fan for this part. Afterward, I set the temperature control to standard, so the standard of the camera, as it comes out of the box, and with the same settings the camera shut down with an overheating warning after just around 11 minutes. Then I mounted the fan directly onto the smooth film, but it decided to detach after a short time. Well, I moistened the suction cups a bit and tried again. In the first fan test the camera ran at level 1 and lasted over 1 hour. At the maximum camera temperature at 36 to 37 degrees Celsius. After around about 50 minutes I just switched then to level 2 and saw that the temperature went down to 34 to 35 degrees. No shutdown even with level 1. Then the battery of the fan ran out and the camera overheated and shut down. So it's clear that the fan does affect the recording time. Therefore the fan is quite useful if you plan to shoot for extended periods without crossing the 36 to 37 degrees Celsius temperature limit. The only thing I would recommend considering a secure way to attach it, as the suction cups detaching caused a brief moment of concern. Well, I think that's it for today. Enough testing done. I hope I could assist you in making a decision on whether to get the ULANZI Camera Cooling Fan or not. Personally, I probably won't use it too often in everyday use, but when I plan to record longer scenes, the cooler will certainly have a permanent place in my camera backpack. If you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. Oh, and if you can't get enough of my fantastic videos, I've got 2 more for you to check out, so you can continue watching right away. Enjoy, take care and see you next time.